voices fill the air. Maybe there's someone waiting for me, with a smile and a flower in her hair.
Richard Hawley is an English singer and songwriter from Sheffield, England. He was in the band The Long Pigs in the 1990s. He spent a short time in the band Pulp in 2000, thereabouts, before he started his solo career. He released his first album in 2001 and has released 7 more since. Hi, my name's Dan. So this was the 4th album by Richard Hawley, and it's my first time listening to it. I have reviewed a Richard Hawley album before, but in the interim, I'd kind of forgotten who he was. So what I normally do when I'm reviewing an album is that I do a listen without looking anything up. Then I do some reading, so I look up information about the act and about the album. Usually that's just restricted to a quick skim of the Wikipedia pages. And then I have a listen again. So on my first listen, having forgotten who Richard Hawley was, I was thinking, okay, this is probably late 60s, early 70s. And this is because it is retro and it is utterly convincing as retro. So it's a mixture of stuff like the title track Pole's Corner, which is a huge string-backed ballad that sounds like Frank Sinatra. It's got a slight jazz element to it. Some of it is more kind of singer-songwriter, but with less backing, and some of it is mildly country. But it all feels like the sort of stuff that in the early 70s my friends' mums would be into. It's what we would have thought of as Radio 2 music. Now, Radio 2 has changed over the years, and it's a BBC radio station. So people around the world, you may not know what I'm talking about here. But it tended to... So Radio 1 used to be the kind of the pop and for the teenagers, and Radio 2 was the kind of more retro stuff and the more adult stuff. So it'd be where you'd get Tom Jones and Andy Williams and Frank Sinatra and stuff that sounded like this, particularly stuff from the kind of the 60s and the early 70s, I would say. I want to also mention Scott Walker here. His first few albums very like this, and Righteous Brothers, that sort of thing. His voice, this is now going back to Richard Hawley, his voice is thoroughly convincing as this type of singer. He's got a strong voice and it's low. He's got kind of powerful projection to it. And, very clearly can hear all the words, etc. And it's obviously that kind of music. The whole thing feels that it's more about getting this retro style than it is actually about any substance to any of the content of the songs. There's some mild interest in some of the songs. The title track Cole's Corner is about a spot in Sheffield where for a romantic meeting. There's also going to pull out Who's Gonna Shoe Your Pretty Feet, which is one that wasn't written by Richard but is a traditional song that he's adapted in a very kind of slow and laid back way. I would say there are times in here that I'm actually reminded quite a bit of Johnny Cash. There's one of the tracks particularly, which is called, let me just check, Wading Through the Waters of My Time, which is kind of like almost like late stage Johnny Cash stuff with an acoustic guitar and low singing. So overall, the description there. What do I think of it? Well, I can appreciate the craft. It's moderately enjoyable to listen to, but I'm really not a huge fan of the style, I would say, and it does do that retro thing really well, but that's a style that I wasn't a huge fan of at the time, and I've come around more to it in the years since, many, many years since, but I'm still not... I would still prefer the pop stuff from that sort of time. Although I guess this was classified as pop in some ways. Okay, so it's all right. It's okay to listen to, but I'm not a huge fan. And as always, I'd like to invite you to tell me what you think of this album. So please do leave a comment. And that's it from me for now.
Don't look for me in fields of clover. I